Good evening and welcome. My name is Gatel Reeve Nicholas, and I am your host for the GRN show. Scotland held the very first beauty pageant in 1839. But according to the Guinness World Record, the first Miss Universe beauty pageant traces back to 1855 by Mr. Barnum. You know, the Barnum and Bailey Circus Company. Well, they are the one who really started their very first Miss Universe pageant back then. And at the time, there were no judging panels. The public judge who should be Miss Universe. But nowadays, many young women are entering pageants, not just as beauty queens. They are getting into pageants because they see their participation as something bigger than themselves. They have major aspirations to serve as ambassadors of various causes or to tackle social issues. I have with me a young lady who feels that her participation in the Panamerican International Pageant is a platform to educate others about her beloved homeland, Haiti. So, Josephine, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
It is a pleasure, and it's really, in speaking with you, I was very inspired by the purpose that you see yourself serving as a pageant contestant. So let's talk a little bit about who you are and why you are entering the Pan American International Pageant.
Well, my name is Josephine Letner. I was raised in South Florida by a Haitian mother. For work, I like to wear multiple different hats. I think it's important to feed not only my brain, but my creative passions as well. So I'm a registered representative for a life insurance company, but I'm also a social media content creator, model, and I also have a children's book coming out. So I actually wanted to represent Haiti at Miss Pan American International because I had a very blessed upbringing. My mother was a Haitian historian and artist and children's book author. So a lot of my childhood was spent in the community. And through my childhood being spent in the Haitian community, it really drove me to have a love and pride for our culture. And I would like, as a member of the diaspora, to represent the diaspora and the pride that we have at Miss Pan American International.
Super. Now, so you have a children book that you are working on. Is it too early to just talk a little bit about it, or why you decided to do that?
So it is a little bit early, but I will give you some information on it. The story is based around a child that is essentially told that for whatever reason, she is not enough of her culture. And through that story, I take you through different cultural references and different cultural people, important people in our history that have traits that identify with this child. And that essentially brings her to pride and makes her understand that, it's not necessarily where I was born that represents the culture that I have. It's not necessarily how I look or how my parents look. What matters is how much pride I have for my country.
I agree. I agree. So obviously, you've had that kind of upbringing. Tell me, what is the most important lesson you've learned over the years, and has it changed you for the better or for the worse?
So growing up, I was always the only child in a room full of adults. So that really taught me patience, and patience played a major role in my life as I got older, because the patience then taught me to persevere. I went through different situations, like my family not being able to afford my education, so I had to leave college, and that was very hard for me. But I decided to, instead of being sad, to pursue a career, and that's how I got into insurance. It was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. A lot of my family was against it, but I, again, decided to persevere because I felt that I was making the best decision for myself. I think that is really what has changed my life for the better, is the patience that I learned through being in adult situations at a young age that then taught me to persevere, because perseverance is nothing more than just patience with a little bit more strength.
That's correct. And it's one of those virtues. I know I myself, I'm constantly working on patience, and it's really refreshing to hear that as a millennial, patience, it's one of the things that got you where you are and really plays a big role in your life, because a lot of times we refer to the Gen X and some of the other generations as a microwave
Yeah.
generation, simply because, you know, we're so used to getting things done very quickly. So I admire that patience is one of the cornerstones of who you are. Josephine, tell us, what qualities do you possess and how would you put them in use to make a difference in the world should you become Miss Haiti in a Pan American international pageant?
So one quality that I've always admired from my mother, and thankfully I've been able to imply that with myself, is she has a very strong sense of empathy and compassion. And I feel as though the compassion we show to others is a direct representation of the compassion we have for ourselves. And I feel as though I can inspire the world to just be a little bit more kind, more compassionate, have more empathy for others, because we don't walk in everyone's shoes. We don't know where people come from, but it's important to understand that there are outside circumstances that result in the lives that people live. So I think the world would just be a much nicer place if we had a lot more compassion and empathy.
Especially nowadays, there's just so much negativity and a lot of mean-spirited people. They're just coming out of the woodwork. So I like to hear that. To our viewers, we're going to take a short break and we will be right back.
Betty la foi, I've been waiting for you.
We are back and we have with us Josephine Lintner. She is one of the contestants for the Pan American International Pageant and really represents Haiti. Her passion is to really illustrate what we as a people are all about. So, Josephine, as we continue, how will you use your title as Miss Haiti to benefit others when you win the Pan American International Pageant?
So there are a lot of different causes that are very near to my heart. I've done work with childhood bereavement. I've done work with breast cancer in the Spanish and Haitian communities. But I think right now, through writing my children's book, it brought me back to a lot of memories I had when I was a child. And I was a late reader. It took me forever to learn how to read. I struggled with spelling. And I think something that's very important to my heart right now is childhood literacy. So I really plan on using my title to encourage childhood literacy and also to bring acknowledgement to the current Haitian immigration crisis that's happening on our borders, because that is also feeds back into compassion. We have to give compassion to people who are fleeing their countries. We have to show love and we have to be able to help people in our communities and neighboring communities. So that is what I intend on doing to help our community as if I win Miss Pan American International.
Yeah, and literacy is a big issue. I find that a lot of children nowadays, you watch them 2, 3 years old, they have their parents' telephone swiping, looking at different programs. And I feel over the years, we really have lost the value of making sure, children are reading. And I remember as a teenager, every Sunday, it was like a ritual with my dad. we had to read the newspaper, the Sunday paper. We had to read something for the Sunday paper, and that would be the conversation. So imagine each and all of us had one article that we would pick and then talk about it. So reading really was one of, actually for me as a teenager, that was my escape. I don't know how many people are reading as much anymore. They are more into social media, they are more into television. So I think it's a good cause. And imagine if you were to put that where it is most needed, with elementary school children, there are all kinds of programs. So,
Yep.
and go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say how I feel like a lot of us don't realize how much of a blessing it is to be able to read and write properly. I actually just became aware that even I was taught cursive because I was homeschooled and I had the opportunity to go to private school for my elementary and middle school years. But when I went to public school, I realized a lot of children don't know how to write cursive. And for a while, I thought maybe it's probably not that important. But then I came to realize that learning how to write in cursive actually teaches children fine motor skills. And there are so many things that we did before that we're not doing anymore. And I think it's important to bring that back.
Yes, yes. I don't hear much about cursive anymore. Everything is, print, and it's a quick way of learning it. But you were very fortunate to have had those opportunities. And now as a young adult, you truly understand the value of them.
Definitely.
There's always a thing. Sometimes I even think about if, and I'm going to pose the question to you. If you were given one wish in the world, what would that wish be and why?
I want to say the generic answer of world peace. And I know people say that a lot, but it's so much deeper than that. I feel as though right now, in the times that we are experiencing, there's so much violence, hatred, corruption going on throughout the world. And I think what we really need is a lot more peace, kindness, consideration of others, even kindness to our own planet. If we were kinder to our planet, we wouldn't be dealing with climate change. If we were kinder to our neighboring countries, we wouldn't be at so many wars. If we were kinder to people of different religions, then there wouldn't be so many religious crises. I really think that kindness and world peace is the biggest wish that I would have. I pray for it on a regular basis, especially with what's going on right now.
And the two go hand in hand.
Yes.
The two go hand in hand. If there is kindness, obviously that would create peace.
100%.
Because when you're kind with one another, there is not many conflicts. So I think the two go hand in hand. So give us a little bit of information about your journey in this process. Obviously, you've entered the pageant. What are the next steps, and when does the pageant actually takes place, and where?
So I have been preparing for this pageant since I believe August or September of 2022. And it will be taking place in Anaheim, California on May 20th. I'm very excited because all of my preparation is finally starting to feel as if it's building something into fruition. I have been doing my typical walking practice. You have to be able to walk properly. You have to have etiquette. You have to have poise. But then what's been really nice about the process is getting back into my history. I always knew Haiti's contribution to the Americas. I always knew Haiti's contribution to the world. But now I'm really starting to have a keen understanding on Haiti's social political situation, which I still am not 100% comfortable to speak on because I'm still educating myself. But all of those things that I do in preparation, I feel as though they are preparing me properly, and I cannot wait to support or to represent Haiti in May. The best way to follow up with me is through my organization, my director's page, that is at Haiti Royalty ORG. Myself, which is at Josie, JOSIE LENTNER. on Instagram, and also the Miss Pan American International page, which is at Miss Pan American International. So you can get all the updates through those 3 pages.
Great, great, great. And speak to our viewers. How can they rally behind you? And you know, it's funny, as I was preparing for the show, I am looking at 2023, you know, Pan American International Pageant. I see people have created GoFundMe pages. I see people are doing all kinds of things. And for some, it's also an opportunity for designers to really kind of contribute and showcase their fashion. How can we as a people get behind you, Josephine?
Well, the most important thing is, of course, the support when voting comes out to make sure you vote. But we are also looking for sponsors. We're looking for financial sponsors as well as dress, jewelry, hair, and makeup sponsors, all different types of sponsors, because unfortunately, Haiti, we have so many other things going on. Pageantry is not our biggest priority. But when I come to these pageants, I'm going up against a lot of countries where they put their girls in pageantry school from the age of 6. Their countries fund them with money, fund them with gowns, fund them with this, and it causes the judges to pay more attention to them. But I think it's important that we show that although we are small, although we do not have the means to prioritize pageantry, we still deserve to be recognized, and we still are entitled and deserve a seat at that table. And we deserve to shine just as bright as any other contestant.
I believe the resources are out there. Perhaps it's a new thing for them to know how to sponsor and what to do. So if there's anyone listening, if there is a clothing designer listening, we have quite a few in the Haitian American community. We have our young compatriot, Josephine. What an opportunity for you to showcase your fashion, to showcase your jewelry, or even to contribute as a sponsor, because it is a great undertaking. Obviously, she's going to have to fly, she's going to have to stay there, go out the pageant. So we as a community, I am hoping we can all get behind her so that she gets what she needs. My last question, Josephine, is so obviously it is in May in California. Do you know how many other girls you are competing with? Mentally, what are some of the things you have to do to really make sure you are at your best? Do you have a coach? There may be other young women looking at, or a child looking to say, oh, maybe I want to go into a pageant. What would you tell them?
So I would tell them the first thing is to reach out to the wonderful women in our community. At first, I was a little worried to reach out to former misses. I've reached out to a couple Miss Universes, a couple former Miss Pan American Internationals, different delegates from Haiti that have represented us. And I was very weary at first, but honestly, once you get into pageantry, you're part of a sisterhood. It doesn't matter what pageant you've done, you are part of a sisterhood, because we all want to make sure that we are putting Haiti in the best light possible. So reach out to anyone in your community. Please reach out to me. And all of us will make sure that everyone is directed to the best possible place to be able to get whatever help that they need. Aside from that, it is very, I would say, physically and also mentally strenuous, because you are going to be competing for about 8 to 11 days. And that is including constant travels, constant interviews, constant practices, run-throughs. And it can be hard because, you always have to be ready and you always have to be on. But I think what's important is that I've been trying to put the work in to make sure that I am getting enough rest and I'm managing my time correctly. And that is something that I think everyone else should be doing. If they're trying to get into pageantry, make sure that you also prioritize yourself as much as you're prioritizing all of your other obligations. Because, one thing that my mother told me was she gave birth to my brother in Germany. And in Germany, they always say, you have to take care of the mother before you take care of the child. And the child is equally as important, but if the mother is not fit, the child will not be fit. And I apply that to my life. I don't have children, but if I am not okay, then I cannot take care of any other aspect of my life properly.
Very wise, because it's true. Self-care is very important because, you know, it's like the oxygen mask. If you are in a plane with a child, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So this is very wise. Well, Josephine, you know, I am rooting for you. And as a people, I'm hoping many of our viewers will get behind you and assist in many ways when the time comes for our community or for people to vote for you. Please let me know so that we can spread the word around. I think you would be an amazing representative for this country of Haiti. And I wish you all the very best. Thanks again for joining us. And definitely we will keep up with you and make sure that you do very well during the pageant as much as we can. Thanks again for doing this, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you have a wonderful evening as well.
Super, thanks.
Betty la foi, I've been waiting for you.
The Panamerican International Pageant will take place on May 20th, 2023 in California. Josephine Lentner is a bright and passionate young woman who sees the value of representing her country. As a Haitian American woman, I admire Josephine for putting herself out there to let the international community know about our history and our culture. Although the Pan American International Pageant is a contest, a beauty contest, some may say, I think it's more than that. It's really about what is in the mind of the young women who participate. What are some of their aspirations and how can they make a difference in the world? So that is something we all need to get behind. You never know. With that, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and I wish you a wonderful Saturday night. Good night, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Bye-bye.